Hello, I'm Mike,
I'm M.
and we're reading a book. Hold on, here's the jingle.
Is it gonna be fun? Yes, indeed. Em and Mike read.
Yeah, sorry, I should have played that first before I introduced myself. Let's start over. I'm Mike,
I'm M.
and we're reading The Count of Monte Cristo. It's been a little while. It's been over a month since the last time we did this. There's been a lot going on. We don't need to fill in a lot of blanks in terms of our problems. Let's just say blah blah blah, heat wave, blah blah blah,
No air conditioning.
no air conditioning, blah blah blah, home stuff. But it's all taken care of now, so we're back, and hopefully we can be back to our regular scheduled programming. And we ended it kind of weirdly last time too. We were halfway through a chapter. We were halfway through chapter 17.
We were about to reveal the Abbe's plan.
The Abbe had a plan. That's right. He'd been humming and hawing about. He doesn't want to hurt anyone. He doesn't want to shed any blood. He doesn't want to.
Yeah.
He definitely wants to escape. He's got some treasure that he wants to share with Dantes, but
And freedom.
and absolutely freedom. But there's a guard. They're gonna tunnel through the wall. There's a guard. They don't want to hurt the guard. But then Dantes is like, "What if we just knock him out?"
Yeah.
Or something. And so it sounds
And
like the
Abbe's
Abbe.
like, don't you know that even if you knock someone out, if they're unconscious, that they will actually have some kind of brain damage?
There is brain damage there. It's a concussion.
Not many people know that.
Not many people know that.
Especially in the movies.
You watch a Michael Bay film, you just knock someone out. Right. And so we were about to read up on what the Abbe's plan is.
He's like,
let me reveal.
maybe if you don't hurt him too much.
If you only rough him up a little bit, you give him a little je ne sais quoi, and we can do the plan. So let's find out what this plan is. I don't know what the plan is. Do you know?
No.
Neither of us have read ahead.
I assume it's just tunnel out.
Then we tunnel out.
Hit him on the head.
That's the plan. The Abbe's like, come close. We tunnel out.
Dante's like, we wasted a year hemming and hawing over this.
Right.
Okay.
Why don't you take it? What's the
Sure.
plan?
Okay. What is the plan? All right.
And you're gonna have to forgive us. We're gonna be eating these really crunchy homemade tortilla chips.
But they're very good.
They're very good.
It'll be some additional
ASMR.
unexpected ASMR.
Yeah.
All right. Tut tut, answered the Abbe. Man is but man after all, and you are about the best specimen of the genus I have ever known. Come, let me show you my plan. And maybe also my penis? This is a sexy moment. You're the best specimen of man I've ever known.
We'll see. Well, that would be a dramatic turn, unexpected.
I think I'm working on too many romances. All right. Let me show you my plan. Pull yourself together. The Abbe then showed Dantes the sketch he had made for their escape. It consisted of a plan of his own cell and that of Dantes, with the passage which united him. In this passage, he proposed to drive a level as they do in mines. This level would bring the two prisoners immediately beneath the gallery where the sentry kept watch.
So they're going to tunnel underneath? They're going to tunnel underneath the ground where the sentry is standing?
Yeah, drive a level, I guess, down, and yeah.
Okay.
Once there, a large excavation would be made, and one of the flagstones with which the gallery was paved... Wait, sorry. Whoa.
It's a little an awkward construction.
Right. Oh,
yeah.
We're going back to the Dumas school of awkwardly long sentences. Okay. Once there, a large excavation would be made, and one of the flagstones with which the gallery was paved be so completely loosened that at the desired moment it would give way beneath the feet of the soldier, who, stunned by his fall, would be immediately bound and gagged by Dantes before he had power to offer any resistance.
Is this the Abbe or Wile E. Coyote? This feels very cartoonish.
Yeah.
It's like,
No,
we tunnel underneath?
This is
and then,
Roadrunner.
whoop! Yeah, exactly. And then he's standing there for a minute over air, and suddenly look down, and boom!
What?
Wow.
So they're gonna go underneath.
They're going to tunnel underneath. It's going to take a
Where
long
he's standing.
time.
Okay, so like underground. Okay.
Yeah.
This is hilarious. The prisoners were then to make their way through one of the gallery windows and to let themselves down from the outer walls by means of the abbé's ladder of cords.
Okay, so this isn't that bad a plan.
So they're okay.
Because, you know, we had talked about this. They're going to tie up this guard. They're not going to kill him.
Right.
They're just going to bound and gag him. And I remember you and I thought that was they went straight for murder.
Yeah.
And
Dantes is like,
we
dead.
just kill him.
Dead.
Kill him dead.
There's no other way.
And so, yeah, this seems a lot more reasonable.
Dantes' eyes sparkled with joy, and he rubbed his hands with delight at the idea of a plan so simple, yet apparently so certain to succeed.
Ooh, hubris.
That very day, the miners began their labors, with a vigor and alacrity proportionate to their long rest from fatigue and their hopes of ultimate success. Nothing interrupted the progress of the work except the necessity that each was under of what?
The necessity that each was under? It's
Yes.
Another weird construction.
Thank you.
I
for
am
that.
under a necessity? Come
Yes,
on.
okay. Except the necessity that each was under of returning to his cell in anticipation of the turnkey's visits. They had learned to distinguish...
It's like Mrs. Doubtfire. He's coming! You go up and you like pretend. What are you doing? Playing solitaire. I'm juggling chicken bones.
Do you have a wig on?
No. You covered in chalk dust? No.
They had learned to distinguish the almost imperceptible sound of his footsteps as he descended towards their dungeons, and happily never failed of being prepared for his coming. The fresh earth excavated during their present work, and which would have entirely blocked up the old passage, was thrown, by degrees and with utmost precaution, out of the window in either Faria's or Dantes's cell, the rubbish being first pulverized so finely that the night wind carried it far away without permitting the smallest trace to remain.
I remember that being a concern too. What do you do with all the leftovers? This actually sounds probably like that. Doesn't sound very probable that you can just kind of like.
I mean, there would just be a lot of dust.
Yeah, you'd think that someone outside's like, have you checked the roof? There's just a layer. Someone's digging.
Yeah.
Like when there are carpenter ants in the tree, your house just gets covered in sawdust.
Yeah.
And you know.
Yeah.
So you've got two grown adult men excavating the stone.
I think someone would see dust coming out the window.
A pile, a pattern would emerge of, every day the windshield of my Beamer covered.
Unless it's really windy on the island.
Could be. They're on the ocean.
Yeah.
If it took it far away, maybe it took it into the ocean.
Just right into the sea.
Yeah, okay. That's not bad.
Yeah, all right. Take it away.
More than a year had been consumed in this undertaking, the only tools for which had been a chisel, a knife, and a wooden lever. Faria still continuing to instruct Dantes by conversing with him, and sometimes in one language, sometimes in another. At others, relating to him the history of nations and great men who from time to time have risen to fame and trodden the path of glory. The abbé was a man of the world, and had, moreover, mixed in the first society of the day. He wore an air of melancholy dignity, which Dantes, thanks to the imitative powers bestowed on him by nature, easily acquired, as well as that outward polish and politeness he had before been wanting in, and which is seldom possessed except by those who have been placed in constant intercourse with persons of high birth and breeding.
I'm telling you, they're banging.
There's some tension here. I don't know if it's deliberate or not, or it's just the
Constant
translator.
Intercourse.
Okay. At the end of 15 months, the level was finished, and the excavation completed beneath the gallery, and the two workmen could distinctly hear the measured tread of the sentinel as he paced to and fro over their heads. Compelled as they were to await a night sufficiently dark to favor their flight, they were obliged to defer their final attempt till that auspicious moment should arrive. Their greatest dread now was lest the stone through which the sentry was doomed to fall should give way before its right time, and thus they had in some measure provided against by propping it up with a small beam which they had discovered in the walls through which they had worked their way. Dantes was occupied in arranging this piece of wood when he heard Faria, who had remained in Edmund's cell for the purpose of cutting a peg to secure the rope ladder, call to him in a tone indicative of great suffering. Dantes hastened to his dungeon, where he found him standing in the middle of the room, pale as death, his forehead streaming with perspiration, and his hands clenched tightly together. Gracious heavens! Oh, can you go up a little bit more, please? Thanks. Gracious heavens! Exclaimed Dantes. What is the matter? What has happened? Quick, quick! Returned the abbe. Listen to what I have to say! Dantes looked in fear and wonder at the livid countenance of Faria, whose eyes, already dull and sunken, were surrounded by purple circles, while his lips were white as those of a corpse, and his very hair seemed to stand on end. What happened? Did he see a ghost? Tell me, I beseech you, what ails you? Cried Dantes, letting his chisel fall to the floor. Alas, faltered out the abbe, all is over with me. I am seized with a terrible, perhaps mortal illness. I can feel that the paroxysm is fast approaching. I had a similar attack the year previous to my imprisonment. This malady admits but of one remedy. I will tell you what it is. Go into my cell as quickly as you can. Draw out one of the feet that supports the bed. You will find it has been hollowed out for the purpose of containing a small file. You will see they are half filled with a red-looking liquid. This guy, he's got like secret compartments everywhere. Bring it to me, or rather, no. I may be found here. Therefore, help me back to my room while I have the strength to drag myself along. Who knows what may happen, or how long the attack may last? In spite of the magnitude of the misfortune which thus suddenly frustrated his hopes, Dantes did not lose his presence of mind, but descended into the passage, dragging his unfortunate companion with him. Then, half carrying, half supporting him, he managed to reach the abbe's chamber, when he immediately laid the sufferer on his bed. Why don't you take over? Because I'm going to have a chip.
Thanks, said the poor abbe, shivering as though his veins were filled with ice. I am about to be seized with a fit of catalepsy. When it comes to its height, I shall probably lie still and motionless as though dead, uttering neither sigh nor groan. On the other hand, the symptoms may be much more violent and cause me to fall into fearful convulsions, foam at the mouth, and cry loudly. Take care my cries are not heard, for if they are, it is more than probable I should be removed to another part of the prison and we be separated forever. Why? When I become quite motionless, cold...
I guess they might take him to the infirmary and then be like, let's just dump him into the ocean.
I guess. Maybe, yeah, so that John tested. No, I don't know. When I become quite motionless, cold, and rigid as a corpse, then and not before, be careful about this. Force open my teeth with the knife. Pour from 8 to 10 drops of the liquor contained in the phial down my throat, and I may perhaps revive. What the frick?
What is this disease? Is this like a seizure? It sounds like a seizure.
Catalepsy? Epilepsy. Catalepsy. It's
Catatonic.
weird that he... Yeah. It's weird that he... This has happened before.
It's been a long time, though. They've been together for years now.
Has he had to force his own mouth open with a knife? Like, is he just being dramatic, or has he actually... Okay. Interesting. All right.
This feels like a plot device.
I hope that he doesn't die
Well,
and be like, okay, here's the secret, and go do it yourself. That would be so sad. The Abbé, he needs to get out.
I've read just a little bit ahead, the 2 paragraphs. Why don't you keep going?
No!
I'm sorry, I couldn't help it.
No!
I could not help it.
Perhaps, exclaimed Dantes in grief-stricken tones. Help! Help! Cried the Abbé. I die. Oh, man.
This might be it. Although, he did spend a paragraph talking about how he would seem dead. So maybe
Yeah.
this is not true death.
Okay, help, I die. How come the Abbé has got a crazy beard and crazy hair, and Dantes looks surprisingly coiffed?
Like, he kind of looks like he's from the 70s. Like,
Yeah.
maybe he's a member of the hair cast.
The hair cast?
The cast from the musical
Oh,
Hair.
yeah. Also, I think Dantes just got a perm.
Maybe.
Like, that looks fresh.
They went to the prison barber and were like, would you mind puffing it out a
Giving
little?
me a little
volume.
something.
Yeah.
So sudden and violent was the fit that the unfortunate prisoner was unable to complete the sentence. A violent convulsion shook his whole frame. His eyes started from their sockets. Ooh! His mouth was drawn on one side. His cheeks became purple. He struggled, foamed, dashed himself about, and uttered the most dreadful cries, which, however, Dantes prevented from being heard by covering his head with the blanket. Don't worry, I'll save you by smothering you.
I'll use this pillow. I saw this in a TV show.
The fit lasted, 2 hours.
Oh, that's brutal.
Then more helpless than an infant, and colder and paler than marble, more crushed and broken than a reed trampled underfoot, he fell back, doubled up in one last convulsion, and became as rigid as a corpse. Edmund waited till life seemed extinct in the body of his friend. Then, taking up the knife, he, with difficulty, forced open the closely fixed jaws, carefully administered the appointed number of drops, and anxiously awaited the result. An hour passed away, and the old man gave no sign of returning animation. Dantes began to fear he had delayed too long ere he administered the remedy, and thrusting his hands into his hair, continued gazing on the lifeless features of his friend. At length, a slight color tinged the livid cheeks.
What?
Consciousness returned to the dull, open eyeballs. A faint sigh issued from the lips, and the sufferer made a feeble effort to move.
What is in that bottle? What was that?
Coca-Cola.
It was just really, Jolt Cola, super caffeinated. That's what he needed.
Yeah, a little bit of Red Bull.
Just a little, pick-me-up. Holy smokes.
He is saved! He is saved! Cried Dantes in a paroxysm of delight.
The sick man was not yet able to speak, but he pointed with evident anxiety towards the door. Dantes listened and plainly distinguished the approaching steps of the jailer. It was therefore near 7 o'clock, but Edmund's anxiety had put all thoughts of time out of his head. The young man sprang to the entrance, darted through it, carefully drawing the stone over... How is he saved not being heard? And, the jailer is probably like, okay, they're in the same cell, enough is enough. The young man sprang to the entrance and darted through it, carefully drawing the stone over the opening, and hurried to his cell. He had scarcely done so before the door opened, and the jailer saw the prisoner seated as usual on the side of his bed. Almost before the key had turned in the lock, and before the departing steps of the jailer had died away in the long corridor he had to traverse, Dantes, whose restless anxiety concerning his friend left him no desire to touch the food brought him, hurried back to the abbe's chamber, and raising the stone by pressing his head against it, was soon beside the sick man's couch. Freya had now fully regained his consciousness, but he still lay helpless and exhausted on his miserable bed. "I did not expect to see you again," said he feebly to Dantes. "And why not?" asked the young man. "Did you fancy yourself dying?" "Ha, ha, ha, ha." "No, I had no such idea, but, knowing that all was ready for flight, I thought you might have made your escape." The deep glow of indignation suffused the cheeks of Dantes. "Without you? Did you really think me capable of that?" "At least," said the abbe, "I now see how wrong such an opinion would have been. Alas, alas! I am fearfully exhausted and debilitated by this attack." "Be of good cheer," replied Dantes. "Your strength will return." And as he spoke, he seated himself near the bed beside Freya and took his hands. The abbe shook his head. "The last attack I had," said he, "lasted but half an hour, and after it I was hungry and got up without help. Now I can move neither my right arm nor leg, and my head seems uncomfortable, which shows that there has been a suffusion of blood on the brain.
What?
The third attack will either carry me off or leave me paralyzed for life." "No, no," cried Dantes. "You are mistaken. You will not die. And your third attack, if indeed you should have another, will find you at liberty. We shall save you another time, as we have done this, only with a better chance of success, because we shall be able to command every requisite assistance." "My good Edmund," answered the abbe, "be not deceived. The attack, which has just passed away, condemns me forever to the walls of a prison. None can walk from a dungeon. None can fly from... I screwed up that last sentence. Hang on, let me take a mulligan. None can fly from a dungeon who cannot walk. Well, we will wait a week, a month, 2 months if need be, and meanwhile your strength will return. Everything is in readiness for our flight, and we can select any time we choose. As soon as you feel able to swim, we will go. Why don't you take it from here?
No, this is
This is pretty sad. I got a feeling Freya's not going.
Why can't he at least escape and then he lives a month free? Come on, Dumas. Okay. I shall never swim again, replied Faria. Sorry. This arm is paralyzed. Not for a time, but forever. Lift it and judge if I am mistaken. I mean, you guys aren't doctors. You have no idea.
Yeah.
Give it a day.
Well,
Jesus.
They're not doctors, but Faria has proven himself to be like kind of a Renaissance man.
I know. But
Maybe
like,
he's got like the equivalent of like a doctorate or a medical doctorate. Who knows?
the young man raised the arm, which fell back by its own weight, perfectly inanimate and helpless. A sigh escaped him. You are convinced now, Edmund, are you not? Asked the abbe. Depend upon it, I know what I say. Since the first attack I experienced of this malady, I have continually reflected on it. Indeed, I expected it, for it is a family inheritance. Both my father and grandfather died of it in a third attack.
Wow.
It's like a fairy tale right here.
Yeah. Wow. It's a curse. That's like a family
It's
curse.
like a curse. The physician who prepared for me the remedy I have twice successfully taken was no other than the celebrated Cabanis, and he predicted a similar end for me. I thought it was...
You thought it was cannabis?
Yeah, and I was like, is that the drug?
Is that the drug? It's just, I need more pot.
Help.
I need to eat this sweet Mary Jane.
That's my physician.
Yeah.
The physician may be mistaken, exclaimed Dantes. And as for your poor arm, what difference will that make? I can take you on my shoulders and swim for both of us. Okay. My son, said the abbe, you who are a sailor and a swimmer must know as well as I do that a man so loaded would sink before he had done 50 strokes. Cease, then, to allow yourself to be duped by vain hopes that even your own excellent heart refuses to believe in. Here I shall remain until the hour of my deliverance arrives, and that in all human probability will be the hour of my death. As for you, who are young and active, delay not on my account, but fly, go, you fool.
Fly, you fools.
I give you back your promise.
It is well, said Dantes. Then I shall so... no. It is well, said Dantes. Then I shall also remain. Wow. So, Dumas is really sort of painting Dantes as, like, this, like, uber selfless, perfect, like, hero.
Mm.
We're talking about a man that I can't find any character flaws in.
Except for the murder.
Yeah, he was willing to murder a guy. Okay, that's fair. And he's a little naive.
Mm.
He's a little naive. He's gullible. But otherwise, he's got, like,
Pretty
heroic character. Then, raising and extending his hand with an air of solemnity over the old man's head, he slowly added, By the blood of Christ, I swear never to leave you while you live. Faria gazed fondly on his noble-minded, single-hearted, high-principled young friend, and read in his countenance ample confirmation of the sincerity of his devotion and the loyalty of his purpose. Thanks, murmured the invalid, extending one hand. I accept. You may one of these days reap the reward of your disinterested devotion, but as I cannot, and you will not, quit this place, it becomes necessary to fill up the excavation beneath the soldier's gallery. He might, by chance, hear the hollow sound of his footsteps and cause the attention of his officer to the circumstance. That would bring about a discovery which would inevitably lead to our being separated. Go, then, and set about this work, in which, unhappily, I can offer you no assistance. Keep at it all night, if necessary, and do not return here tomorrow till after the jailer has visited me. I shall have something of the greatest importance to communicate to you. Dantes took the hand of the abbe in his, and affectionately pressed it. Faria smiled encouragingly on him, and the young man retired to his task, in the spirit of obedience and respect which he had sworn to show towards his aged friend. Whoa! So sad. That's chapter 17. All right, what are your thoughts? I'm going to have a chip. What are your thoughts?
Oh, so sad. It feels like Dumas is like, okay, Faria served his purpose as a character. He taught Dantes how to be more mature, more able to like, yeah, present him like maybe he's gonna come back as like a noble, like pretend he's got noble blood. Like I think that's when he with the riches, he's gonna just like come into town and be like, my name's not Dantes, it's whatever, and then he's gonna. So I feel like that was his purpose, and now it's like now Dumas is like, okay, Faria's dead weight now, let's cut him off, and it's like no, he's such a cool character. Like I really hope that he, if Dantes does leave because he thinks Faria is dead, I hope Faria survives secretly, escapes, and then like
Meets up at the
Dantes
end.
will meet up with him later and be like, whoa, it's you, and he's like, yeah, I got better and I got out. Like I hope that.
It's kind of a trope, you know, like the Gandalf in Moria, you know, like you have this super powerful, super clever, like Faria the Abbé is who you want by your side for a jailbreak.
Oh yeah,
He knows what he's doing. He's super clever, super
so
knowledgeable,
well
so
read.
worldly and well read, and he's been doing this like Obi-Wan Kenobi, Yoda,
Yeah.
like train
Oh,
up. It's like a
totally.
training montage
I
of this Luke
know.
Skywalker.
And he's like there for 5 seconds, but he's so powerful.
He's so powerful, and like he's kind of trained up this protege, this like apprentice, and then he has to go away. I feel like I see that trope emerging here, and I understand why you need to do it as an author, because we need to challenge the hero. You know, he's been trained up. It's almost like, okay, now that you've been trained up, Rocky, it's trying to put you in the ring. Yeah, exactly, and you have to do it alone. It would be cool though if, I mean, well, I don't know, because Dantes is going to stay with him until he's dead. That's his promise, and what we've established of Dantes is that he is very high principled,
Very loyal.
very loyal. He will keep his word, even if the Faria is alive for like 5 more years. I think Dantes is going to stick around, even though he could have escaped at any time, presumably, and swam to shore and cleared his name, because he made this promise to the Abbé.
Surely the Abbé can like float on his back, and even if he doesn't have use of his arm, he can kick his legs, and then Dantes can just like drag him by the.
Do you have a flutter board?
Yeah.
A boogie board?
Right? Like, come on.
Yeah, good question. It's almost comical at the end here. The Abbé is like, by the way, you know this giant excavation we have done over months and months? I need you to fill it back up
I know.
by yourself. I don't know where you're going to get the material because we all blew it out the window.
I know, right?
So
what the hell?
you're going to have to find something. I don't know what's he going to use.
That's a plot hole.
Maybe.
Total plot hole.
What is he going to use? The food. He just doesn't eat and just starts filling it with his meals. I can't imagine what they're going to fill it with.
That's a plot hole for sure.
Maybe. Very interesting chapter. The next chapter is called The Treasure. I got a prediction. I think you're with me on this. The thing that the Abbé wants to tell Dantes is, here's how you get my treasure.
Yeah.
So what we've done here is
I've written you a book.
Here's a map.
On some old shirts and with my blood.
Yeah, it
Here
just
you
takes
go.
this map. If you can read the blood, that's Norse. That's South. Yeah, it's going to be like a treasure map of some kind, and, you know, this train up has occurred, and Dantes is going to emerge from prison with all this knowledge, all this worldly knowledge, no practical experience besides mining and digging, but all this worldly knowledge and a map to a major treasure, and then he's going to begin his, like, revenge campaign. That's my guess.
Yeah. I think you're right. So sad.
So sad.
Revenge campaign, though. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, gonna get some of that catharsis.
Yeah. Suck it. Donglar, who apparently we'll never see
We'll never
again.
see Don. He lived a beautifully happy life till his dying days. He was surrounded by friends and family on his dying day, and as the last breath escaped his mouth, he went like, "I regret nothing."
Where's it?
Where's it? And everyone was like, "What a hero!" And no one ever found out what he did.
Fernand, though. Fernand will pay.
Fernand will pay, and maybe Catarus. Excuse me.
I hope Catarus is part of the solution.
Yeah, maybe he can redeem himself. Even Fernand might be like
No, Fernand can suck it.
salvageable.
He's
Okay.
more of an idiot than
A
malicious.
lovesick like fool.
But he's still. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
He needs to go.
All right, well, we'll see. In the next couple of chapters, I guess.
Next time on the Count of Monte Cristo.
Yeah.
Em and Mike read.
Chapter 18. So that's what's going on. Hopefully in a couple of days we'll have chapter 18 up. And yeah, we'll see what goes on with this treasure. Yeah, I'm Mike.
I'm Em.
And you've been hearing us read the Count of Monte Cristo. I'm going to play us out with the jingle. Hold up. Here we go. Take care, everybody.
Take care.
Is it gonna be fun? Yes, indeed. Em and Mike read.
See you.